Everyone wants to macro in Bee Swarm Simulator, but there are specific settings that you want to use this Beesmas. Settings that will get you the most gingerbread bears, the most snowflakes, and the most honey. So today I'm going to be giving you guys a tutorial on the best macro settings you need to use for this year's Beesmas update. Alright, now starting off, I don't want to go through the whole boring long process of downloading the macro. I can give you guys a more in-depth tutorial on that in a future video, but for now all you have to do is join the Natural Macro Discord. I'll put the link to that in the description of this video. Aw, dang it, we got all this stuff we got to go through. Let's just finish through. After that, you got to verify through block links. This interaction failed. What do you mean? Okay, well, it shouldn't be failing for you, at least. Well, after it works for you, you'll find Natural Macro. You'll find the zipped folder, so you just go and click extract all. Boom, it is now extracting. Oh, the power of macro. This is gonna be a good video. After that works, you can just click on macro and then click on start. Yes, it is safe, don't worry. And then it will open macro in your top corner. Now, it seems like there is an update, so you always want to click delete previous version, then click update. All right, sweet. Now here's Natural Macro fully loaded. Now there's a bunch of settings we have to go through, so we're gonna start with gather and slowly move our way to the end. Now very quickly, before you do anything, of course, you do have to make sure your movement speed is correct. You just want to reset your character, make sure you have no extra haste, and boom, my movement speed is right here, 33.35. Make sure your movement method is always correct, and whatever you do, don't disable tool use. Now first, moving on to gather. Now where you gather depends highly on what hive color you are. If you're a blue hive, I always recommend pine tree. Honestly, for any hive, if you don't know where to macro pine tree. Not only is it a decent source of blueberries, but by macroing in pine tree, you automatically defeat your werewolf and mantises that spawn, meaning when we move into the bug run section later, you don't have to enable mantises or werewolf, which saves you a fair amount of time. It's basically just extremely efficient to macro in pine. Now if you don't know where else to macro, you can always macro where your planters are, or you can find your respective tool sticker and macro in that field. For example, I have the gummy baller and I have the highest chance to get a sticker in clover field. So if I had to choose anywhere to macro, I would probably be choosing clover. Now really quickly, we are going to be moving on to the more advanced stuff, like how to farm thousands of snowflakes a day. But I must say, just make sure that your pattern shape is not stationary. Try like snake or diamonds or ELOL, and always click drift comp just because it helps you stay in the fields. If you're going for honey, you can go back to the hive by walking, but if not, I highly recommend just resetting, because that's going to help you get a lot more gingerbread bears and snowflakes. Now, of course, moving on to the ginger and snowflake side. Now, there are certain mobs that can drop snowflakes and certain ones that can drop gingerbread bears. Rhino beetles, spiders, and mantises, and I'm pretty sure werewolves too, can all drop snowflakes. So if you're macroing snowflakes, you want to click defeat and loot those mobs. But if you're grinding for gingerbread bears, you can also enable ladybugs and scorpions, because those can drop gingerbread bears. Same thing with the werewolf. I'd also highly recommend getting your king beetle and tunnel bear in there with baby love, because you can get a fair amount of gingerbread bears from those. Coconut crab also gives gingerbread bears. Personally, I won't enable it. I just prefer to do it manually. And stump snail as well can drop 5 to 25 gingerbread bears, so I'd highly recommend keeping your stump snail on there as well. Now if you're white hive, you also want to make sure you've got vicious bees going on, because you use a lot of stingers for honey day macro. But now we need to move on to the collecting side, which is also equally as important. This is also going to help you get a fair amount of gingerbread bears and snowflakes, and just materials in general. Now of course, you always want your wealth clock active. I have nearly 30,000 tickets just because I've always kept that active. Mondo, in my opinion, isn't too worth it. You also do want to keep ant passes on there though, if you're going to be macroing other quests. Memory match, I highly recommend keeping your extreme memory match on. Make sure to click through the items you do not want. Now after that, we can move on to dispensers. You might need some robo challenges for the Beesmas quest, so I recommend having robo pass. Same thing with glue, you just always need glue. And coconut, so that way you can get auto coconuts for your honey day boosting. Now this is the most important part, which is Beesmas, so you definitely want to click allow gather interrupts. And the things I recommend enabling are the stockings. You want a honey wreath, so that way you're always macroing with a level 20 honeybee. You want your Beesmas feast, because that gives a lot of neon berries. You actually don't want your gingerbread though. Do not activate that. It's much more efficient to just let it stack up. Believe it or not though, you actually don't want your gingerbread bears activated. You just want that to stack up over the long periods of time that you're macroing. After that is snow machine, which is decent. If you want some extra snowflakes, I'd recommend it. You always want candles because of the free wax. Winter memory match is kind of iffy. Only do it if you have a lot of snowflakes, but in my opinion, it's more worth it to try and save for stuff in the catalog. Oh yeah, we kind of skipped over robo party. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can de-level it if you want, but it's honestly not that worth it. Samovar, of course, you always want, because if you use the Samovar 25 times, you get a turpentine. You can do your lit art, because that will give you a guaranteed gingerbread bear bear every time, meaning just by activating lid art, that's an extra 3 gingerbread bears a day. Gummy beacon, it's not too worth it. It's decent to macro with 3 extra gummy bees, but it's honestly much more worth it just to save it in case you need it for boosting. Now, after that is one of the most important parts, which is the stickers. And that's because you can auto sticker print. Now, I'd highly recommend just doing basic eggs because anything else gets crap expensive. Like, please don't macro giving away silver eggs. So just do basic eggs, then, you know, buy a ton of basic eggs so that way your macro can automatically donate them. I'm loaded on basic eggs. I have like 11,000. And I honestly wouldn't recommend using the sticker stack. It's just pretty expensive. But if you'd like to do wind shrine for wins, just do something small, but it's really up to you. Same thing with the field boosters. Now with quests, personally, I like to keep brown bear on just because, you know, who doesn't want that brown bear cub? If you want polar power, which is good for macroing planters, enable that. And you can also do Bucko and Riley if you're saving up for the Tide Popper or Dark Side. Planters, I'd recommend just doing auto. It'll auto grow your planters. You can press F5 for the planter menu, by the way. It's just straight nice. And then finally, you can figure out your stuff on here. You can paste a private server link if you have one. Daily reconnect just in case. And if you want, you can set up a Discord webhook. But that's about it for the macro guide. I will be making a full macro guide, how to download it completely, and the best settings in general. These are just the best settings for Beesmas. Also, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for 100,000 subscribers. We hit that yesterday, meaning I will be face revealing next week on Wednesday. So, you know, if you don't want to miss my face, you don't even have to subscribe. Just hit the bells. It's way more effective, and you'll be notified as soon as I destroy my anonymity online and leak my face. So thank you all so much for watching, Bee Swarmers. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.